What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. So today is going to be a pretty jam-packed video. We have a couple things going on. First and foremost, I'm going to walk you guys through the process of repairing the mounting holes on this OEM BMW wing right here with the integrated third brake light. I'm going to walk you guys through the process of how to actually mount it and install it on your car, which includes drilling into your trunk. And then at the end, we're gonna walk through, or I'm gonna walk you through how to wire it up to your brakes to actually have the brake light in the wing working. So like I said, it's gonna be a pretty long video. It's gonna be a pretty in-depth video. So what I'm gonna do is, if you're not interested in every particular thing we're gonna do, maybe you wanna just see how to repair the wing, or maybe you just wanna see how to install it in your E36, I'm gonna put in the video description video sections, and hopefully YouTube will apply that to the timeline, so you could feel free to skip around if you want. But yeah, so we're gonna be repairing this, installing it, and wiring it up. So I hope you guys are excited. Let's get into it. All right, here we have my new to me OEM BMW trunk wing with the integrated third brake light. And I've been looking for one of these for a couple weeks. I think these look really cool, and I used to have one on my last M3, and to be honest, the LTW rep wing that I have on the car, I'm just kind of sick of that look. I see a lot of E36s with them, and I want something a little more subtle. Plus, I like the fact that this has the third brake light, and I plan to get it operating, so. But anyways, unfortunately, I am not able to mount this on my car in its current condition because all 4 of the mounting holes are in need of repair. And so what I wanted to do is walk you through the process I took to be able to repair these holes. As it stands, only one of these are repaired, and I'll show you guys more of that in a second, but each of these holes kind of represents a different step in the process, from needing complete repair with a snapped bolt to drilled out and ready for epoxy, and the riv nut to done. So I want to walk you guys through the steps that I took to get from one step to the next, and then show you what tools I used and what I think will work to get this secure and strong enough to be able to mount to the car. So let's move into what tools you're going to need and how to actually repair these holes. All right, so here are all of the tools you're going to need in order to do this repair. Now, I do quickly want to note that if you decide to go a different route with the way you decide to repair your wing, you may not need exactly all of these tools, but if you're watching this video, that means there's a pretty good chance that I was able to successfully repair this wing and mount it to my car, which means the tools that I have here on the table were sufficient enough. So this is what you'll need if you want to do it the method that I'm doing it. So obviously you're going to need a drill and drill bits. This is just a Harbor Freight drill bit kit. Whatever's in there has worked so far, so you won't need anything other than this. If you want to get better drill bits, you could definitely do that, but these are working so far. These are just 5mm riv nuts and hex head M5.8 by 16 bolts. I used these exact same bolts. I actually found these a couple days ago. I didn't think I still had these, but these rib nuts and bolts were the exact same bolts I used to mount my tandem wide body kit on my last M3, so they're definitely sufficient enough to hold the wing to the car. I don't plan on racing too often, so I don't think the wind is going to be a huge factor, the downforce rather. And then you're going to need this JB Weld plastic bonder. This was recommended to me by a couple people on the Facebook E36 group. If you look on the package for this stuff, it says it's good to adhere to all sorts of different materials, and plastic and metal is on that list. So this has worked so far for the one hole that I've repaired, so I think it'll be perfect for the rest of it. And then I bought these grommets from Harbor Freight. I plan on using one of them to be able to safely route this wire for the wing through the trunk to get the third brake light going. I don't want to risk cutting this wire on the metal in the trunk. So those are all the necessary tools. As far as tools that might not be so necessary but might be good to have, obviously you need safety glasses. These are not particularly safety glasses, but I can't find mine, so these are better than nothing. Safety glasses though. Tape, so that way you don't risk scratching the wing whenever you're doing whatever you're doing. If you want to tape somewhat around the area so you don't risk scratching anything. I picked these files up from Harbor Freight. The reason I picked these up is because, like I said, a couple of the holes in my wing have snapped bolts, and I wanted to shave them down flat in order to start drilling them, because drilling on a rounded surface is pretty much impossible. So I picked those up. They were a couple of bucks and they worked wonders. On that same note, I picked up this center punch. If you're unfamiliar with what this does, you put it in metal in a spot that you plan on drilling, and then you push down until it pops like that, and it will leave a little indent in the metal for you to start drilling into it, so that way your drill bit doesn't dance all over the place. And then just some isopropyl alcohol if you need to clean anything off. I have a little plastic pry tool that I use to scrape off some of the old adhesive, and then some napkins. But this is everything I'm using to be able to repair the wing. Now that you've seen what we're using, let's actually hop into the procedure for how to repair this wing. All right, as far as actually repairing these mounting holes, there actually isn't a whole lot of steps in order to do it. Now, assuming your mounting holes don't have snapped bolts in them like mine do, all you have to do is drill out deep enough and wide enough to fit whatever riv nut you're gonna use into the hole. Just be mindful that these riv nuts do have this little lip at the end, and so you have to drill big enough to fit this in there. But once you get that going, you wanna drill in just deep enough to where the top of the riv nut is sitting pretty much flush with the edge of the wing. And you don't want to drill too deep because obviously your bolt might have a hard time reaching, and you don't want to drill too shallow because if this isn't flush with the wing, then the wing will have a hard time sitting flush to the trunk when you do bolt it down. But I do want to note really quick, if you look inside of the hole, I had already drilled this out, you can kind of see like a silver ring in there. And what that is on this exact particular wing, the OEM BMW wing with the integrated third brake light, there's a metal plate that runs in there in the center. And you're gonna have to drill through that depending on how deep your riv nut is. But be very, very careful, because once you drill through that, the only thing left under there is just this wing material, this like fiberglass plastic material, whatever this is. And if you're not careful, it's very easy, if you're not paying attention, to just drill really deep, really fast, and it wouldn't be difficult to drill through your wing. Thankfully, I didn't do that, but I did accidentally drill too deep because I didn't realize that till the second time around. So I wanted to note it for you guys, just be careful of that. But on the off chance that your wing does have snapped bolts in the holes, not that much more difficult. All you have to do is take a metal file and file the top of this down to where it's flat. Use the center punch that I showed you guys and get a guide hole started in the center, and then drill it out like normal. Be careful, take your time, use small drill bits and step up lightly. You don't have to go too crazy too fast, but once it's all said and done, you should have a hole that looks something like this. This one is completed. This one has had time to dry, and I feel super solid about this. I feel super confident in this. And so what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and repeat that process on the rest of these 3 holes. And hopefully the next clip should be me finished up and getting ready to actually mount this on the car. So with that, here we go. So I want to take a second and shamelessly ask that if you're enjoying this content, if you can consider subscribing, liking, and commenting on this video. It lets not only me know, but lets YouTube know that people enjoy this type of content, and it makes videos like this possible. So it's free, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Let's get back to the video. All right, you guys, it is officially day 2. I don't know if it was obvious in any of those time-lapse clips, but all 4 of the holes are now repaired. Check it out. All of them are good, solid, and ready to be mounted to the car. So now we can officially move on to how I'm actually gonna measure and cut the holes out to mount this thing. So to start, all I did was took a piece of paper and kind of laid it on here, and then let's see, and then traced this shape right here. You can kind of see on this side how there is like a shape to like these wing stands, I guess you could say, like where they mount to the trunk. Shaped it with a marker, cut it out, and then I literally just flipped this over and traced it for that side. And then I have the holes lined up and punched through already. And for this side, obviously I have this little cutout, so that way when I put this template on the trunk, I know where to cut for this wire. but I went ahead and marked a bunch of lines on here and put tape on the wing, so when I put this wing on the trunk and I have an idea for where I want it to sit, I'm gonna put tape on the trunk and then I'll know where these go to match with what goes on the trunk. So it should be pretty simple. I'm gonna go ahead and mock the wing up onto the trunk right now, tape around where it's sitting, and then try and get these templates mocked up and get the holes drilled out. So here we go. Alright, you saw in the last couple of clips that I took a little bit of time and really figured out where I wanted the wing to sit on the trunk. And once I had it figured out, I put all these pieces of tape over here as close as I could to the edges of the wing on the trunk on both sides. And before I took the wing off, I lined these little notches up with the notches I made on the wing. And so what I was able to do is just flip the templates over and stick them on the trunk and line up where the notches were once these templates were sitting on here. And then I should have a pretty good idea of where the holes are going to be for where the wing is going to sit. So I have everything taped down, everything is really solid, so I can go ahead and just mark where I'm going to drill the holes on both sides, and hopefully with any luck the holes will line up and the wing will mount to the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and send it and drill these holes out, and hopefully the next clip will be the wing installed on the car. Here we go. All right, so the holes are drilled, all of the tiers have been shed, but the wing should be ready to be mounted to the trunk. And you know, if everything has gone according to plan, it should line up pretty much perfectly. You know what they say, measure twice and hope for the best, but just kidding. But don't forget, I do have to guide this wire through the grommet that I had installed, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that first. I'll fish this out once I know that the wing lines up. So let's set it here. There we go. All right. And then in theory, I could find one of these holes . All right. Woo! That's all four. Let's go. All right, I'm gonna tighten these down. I can't believe that worked. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I can't believe that worked. And they hand thread in, which is awesome. That means the holes are lined up perfect. You know, if any of you guys happen to watch my cluster bulb install, I kind of joked about how not everything goes smooth on this channel. Oftentimes things come up, and despite the fact that I had to repair this wing, it is officially installed, and it feels good. Sheesh. Woo. Let's check it out. Now obviously the paint on this is not awesome. If you saw, you know, it's kind of funny, this video is a little out of order. I haven't actually edited a video that you're probably going to see before this video, but I went ahead and paint corrected this whole trunk. You can see the reflection looks really good. And so what I'm going to do, and why I haven't installed double-sided tape on this yet, is because I'm going to end up taking this back off and polishing this the best I can, and kind of maybe re-going over the trunk a little bit because of all the shavings and whatnot. But it is installed. It does look awesome. And we can finally move on to wiring up the third brake light. So let me see if we could bust that out real quick. Otherwise this may end up waiting till another day. Obviously for you guys it'll just be the next clip, but for me it's getting pretty late outside and I do have work tomorrow, unfortunately. So let me see real quick, and I mean, obviously you guys will see in the next clip, but it'll either be really bright or dark just like this. Unfortunately, I was not in fact able to bust it out last night. It is the next day, but I did want to show you guys, now that we have the wing attached to the car, I wanted to show you guys what I think is the best way to route the wiring through and for the cleanest sort of wiring routing setup. It may not be the cleanest wiring job. I'm going to try to do it as clean as I can, but as far as the way the wires are routed, I think it's pretty much the best way you could do it. Depending on how long the harness is that it's attached to the wing, you may need to add some wires like I did. Unfortunately, the harness that was left on this had been cut probably right around the grommet area, and I was not able to see it when I pulled this grommet out. So what I did is took the wing back off, added these wires, and then I was able to find them and guide them through. And all you have to do is, once you have this grommet off right here, you could actually shove the wires in through the back and then pull them through. There's a little kind of gap between this and the actual like wiring harness itself. And same thing goes for this. All I did was route these wires along the same trunk like wiring harness that BMW has, and then routed it through this grommet again, and then out through the bottom right here. I did try to match the colors of the OEM harness on the wing. One wire is brown, and this is a brown, like a light brown wire, and then one wire is blue and red, and this is just a blue wire. But unfortunately, if you look, we're going to be splicing into this connector a couple of these wires, and these are not long enough, so unfortunately I'm going to have to add to these. But other than that, it's very, very, very simple, and I think this is probably the best way to do it. Once you get to this point, I'm going to show you guys right now how to figure out what wires you need to splice into, and then I'll show you how I'm going to splice into them, and then hopefully by the end here we're going to have a working, functioning third brake light on the wing. So here we go. Alright, so you ran your wires through, and now you're trying to figure out what wires you want to splice into. Now, I highly suggest picking up one of these cheap little multimeters that'll read voltages. I'm sure you can get little cheap ones at Harbor Freight, but it'll make figuring out which wires you need to splice into really, really easy. If you don't have one of these, or you don't think you could pick one up, the best I could do in this video is tell you that the wire that I'm going to be splicing into, the power wire, is a blue wire with a little brown stripe in the center. I've already gone ahead and identified which one I need to splice into, and then obviously as far as ground goes, if you're unfamiliar, BMW uses these brown wires as like earth wires, which just means ground. So obviously on this whole connector there's only the one brown wire, so that's your negative or your ground wire. But yeah, so as you can see, if you have one of these tools, all you want to do is turn or press the brakes down, maybe have a second person on hand, or just use something to press the brake pedal down, but do not turn your headlights on, because if you turn your headlights on, you're obviously going to have your tail lights come on, and then you're going to be getting power at a different wire, and you might accidentally splice into the wrong one. But just press your brakes down. As you can see, my brakes are on and I'm getting voltage. And then if I undo the brake pedal and come back over here, you can see my brake lights aren't on, and I'm no longer seeing any voltage right here. So I know for sure that that was the wire that I needed to be on. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is I'm gonna extend these wires, because like I just said, they weren't long enough, but then I'm gonna splice into this blue wire with a brown stripe and the brown wire. And then after that, I should have the trunk light come on every single time I press the brakes. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I will show you guys when that's all finished and put together. All right, so we're officially at the very last step before I actually plug everything back in. But as you can see, I added a little bit of length to these wires, and unfortunately they aren't the exact same color, but this wire is brown wire, so it'll at least kind of match that one. But added that, and then at the end of both of these I added, I don't even know what the name of these are, but what they allow me to do is plug into these wire splices right here. I should just be able to take this, if it ever focuses, and just plug it into here and complete the circuit basically. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug all this stuff back in and then set the camera up, and hopefully the third brake light on the wing will work. So here we go. All right, here is officially the moment of truth. All of this work. Let's see if this thing turns on. Where are my keys? What about now? Is it on? Oh. Sheesh. Let's go. Sheesh. Dude. Dude, sick, man. It works perfect. Dude, this thing works perfect. Let me zoom out real quick and put my handy dandy brake pedal depressor. Let's see. Sheesh. Dude, sick, man. Oh, and my brake pedal depressor fell off. Dude, that's awesome, you guys. That's so awesome. Holy crap. This has been 3 days worth of a project to get this thing mounted, get it repaired, obviously first, and then get it wired up. So I'm stoked. Obviously not like the most crazy mod I could possibly do to the car, but as far as just everything kind of going smooth and working the way I wanted and taking it from not even sure if this wing was going to be usable to fully functioning, it's a big win today on this one. I'm stoked, you guys. I can't believe everything worked out as smooth as it did. So I'm really excited. I hope you're as excited as I am, because this is awesome, man. Yeah, dude. As far as what's next, I think I had mentioned in a previous clip, it's been a couple days now, but before I get the wing fully seated and fully like installed, like permanently, you could say, I do want to take it off one more time. I want to polish the wing as best as I can, and I'm going to re-polish the trunk. I think I had mentioned in a previous clip also that there was going to be a video that came out before this video where I went and polished the trunk. The trunk was in pretty bad shape. And unfortunately, this doesn't really mean anything to you guys, but unfortunately, I was just checking today and all of that footage is gone. Literally all of the footage, like 50 gigs worth of footage of me polishing the trunk and getting it from a condition I didn't think was salvageable to the best paint on any of my black cars I've ever had. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to show that to you guys, at least in regards to the trunk. I do wanna do the rest of the car, but on that note, I do have to take the wing off, kind of redo a little bit because some of the shavings from drilling the holes scratched the trunk a little bit, so I want to get those out. And then obviously I want to get the wing looking at it as good as the trunk. So, but yeah, man, as far as, you know, mods go and things go, I'm really hyped on this. I know it was a long one. I know it was a pretty in-depth one, but hopefully if you followed along, you could take your wing from needing repair to fully mounted the same way I did. I think I laid it out pretty clear. I'll see obviously when I go back through the footage, but if you stuck around, man, I'll ask you again, please consider subscribing. It really helps. It lets me know and YouTube know that people really enjoy these kinds of videos, and it just means a lot to know that people are watching them and getting value out of them. So yeah, please subscribe, please like, please comment if you enjoyed any of it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.